Hey everybody, it's Marshall Mike here, and I wanted to make this video basically because I want to see if I can put together the perfect DCEU. That's right, I want to try to fix this thing. I was going to make a video about how to fix the DCEU, but it kind of got messed up when I was creating it, and the audio was like completely crazy, and it was like a 40 minute video. So instead, I'm just going to give you my DCEU chapters 2 and 3. Now, most of the first chapter, well, I guess second in this case, second chapter is already filled up, and we'll talk about that, but chapter 3 is going to be pretty interesting. Let's get started. So of course, Aquaman starts us off this December, and I'm actually really excited for this movie because James Wan is pretty freaking cool. I'm a James Wan fan big time. I like what he does with horror, but I also like what he did with Fast 8, I think, or Fate of the Furious. He did one of the Furious movies, and he didn't get enough credit for it, which is probably why I can't remember which one he did, but I'm really excited. He's great, and I'm excited. I'm going to do an Aquaman video about all the photos he's released and stuff like that. It's pretty soon, so watch out for that. Next, we have Shazam, one of my favorite DC characters, and I actually did do a video about that recently. You guys can go check out what I thought about his look and what I think they're going for in the movie. I have a theory about why they made his look that way. But I'm really excited for this movie, just because Shazam's one of my favorite characters. Now, David F. Sandberg, he actually directed Lights Out, and he's directing this movie. Not so sure about the director choice, which is what I'm kind of scared about. But I'm excited anyway, right? And of course, Wonder Woman 2 is already in the works, right? We've got looks of Barbara Ann Minerva, making that video pretty soon. We've got looks of Gal Gadot. The only thing is, Patty Jenkins, since she did so well the first movie, and that movie is the only good DCEU movie for many people. I like some of the other DCEU films, but that's the only successful one. I feel that she might actually be a little bit too confident for the sequel. I mean, they've really sexified up the character in this look, right? I mean, her costume is a lot shinier, a lot Barbie-like, right? So I think that it could go astray, but I'm hoping Patty Jenkins does not do that. Now, after that, I think that the next move should be The Batman. I mean, that movie needs to come out soon. And when I'm talking soon, I'm saying soon. And I think this year at Comic-Con, Matt Reeves, the director of the movie, should come out and say, hey, Ben Affleck is going to be in the movie, or he should say he isn't. I don't know. Whatever Ben Affleck chooses, we should get an answer, though. He should also give us a villain confirmation and a release date, right? I mean, I think those are the best things. And if they really want to go all out, maybe some concept art, right, of either Ben Affleck or whoever is going to be the new Batman. They should give us a concept art of Gotham and concept art of the new Batsuit, right? Because we're probably going to get a new one in the solo film, right? And then for the villain, I know that Penguin has been rumored. I'm going to make a video about that as well. But I think they should go all out and do Red Hood. How exciting! Now, I think that maybe Batman's already met Red Hood in this universe. There's a line in Batman v Superman that says, Bruce says to Alfred, how many good guys are left, how many stayed that way? So maybe that's kind of insinuating to Red Hood, who knows? But they could still do a Red Hood film, right? Maybe he said that maybe he met Jason Todd as a villain, right? But he's not donned the Red Hood persona yet. Maybe, right? And when they do Red Hood, it would be interesting to see Joker thrown in there for a cameo. Black Mask could be a starring role. Think of how many people would want to go after those two roles, right? Red Hood and Black Mask. I'm guessing a lot of people. Now, how are we going to tie this into Justice League too, right? Because that's Legion of Doom. Well, I've already thought about that, and here's the answer. Deathstroke, right, who was also rumored to be the villain at one point. Well, he was the villain in Ben Affleck's script, but they cut that. Deathstroke, what I'm thinking is that Deathstroke sees Batman finishing Red Hood, right, finishing all that stuff with him, taking him down, right, and Deathstroke's like, Luthor, I can move in and take out the Bat right now. I'm that confident in my skill, we could end this quickly. And Luthor's like, no, that's not the plan. We can't take Batman out right now. We have to take out the Justice League as a whole. If you take him out now, it ruins the plan of getting them all in one spot, in one fight. And that could be leading towards Justice League Doom. And then, at the very end of this end credit scene for the Batman, Luthor, we see Luthor, right? And he turns around and says, I have the next phase in our plan. And Sinestro is standing in his office, or like in his headquarters, or whatever you want to say, right? In there. He's standing next to Lex Luthor. Now, why? Right? Well, I have also the answer as to why Sinestro is there. It's a pretty long explanation, but just picture it as an end credit scene. Just picture it. So we have Sinestro, right? And if you guys don't know who Sinestro is, he's Green Lantern's main villain, and Sinestro is a yellow lantern who feeds off fear instead of willpower, right? For the Green Lanterns. But anyway, How does he know about Sinestro, and how did he know how to get him? Well, Lex Luthor, of course, as we knew from Batman v Superman, had the Kryptonian ship give him information on the universe, right? So, picture Lex freaking Luthor learning about the Lanterns, right, as the intergalactic space cops, and learns that Sinestro was a former Green Lantern who went rogue to start his own Lantern Corps, right? And then he says, Sinestro, if you can take down Hal Jordan, the Green Lanterns, that would help us. Because if he knows about the universe, then he knows that the Lanterns are going to stop him once they try to make, this final battle, right? And Green Lantern comes in, and that's why he planned ahead and got Sinestro. Right? It's just so smart that it could obviously work. Now, next, of course, is Justice League 2, because that will lead right into that movie, right? After the Batman film. It's just so spectacular. And that way you can bring in Hal Jordan or Jon Stewart. I actually recommend Jon Stewart because he's just so much more organic to me than Hal Jordan. I just feel like he'd be a better fit in this team. And then also you could bring in Shazam, right? Superman could ask Shazam to help them with the Legion of Doom. And that could lead into Shazam. Like I said, it's really good explanation, right? I mean, how can you not want that? I mean, it would tie in the Justice League all together. You'd have all the 7, right? Or I guess at that point it'd be like 8. I don't know. Shazam one more? Yeah. So, I don't know. But hey, that would be Justice League 2, and you can have the Legion versus the League, and that would be pretty freaking cool, right? And maybe they'll bring in Black Adam. I mean, probably not. I don't know if Dwayne Johnson's even planning on coming back at this point, but hey, I mean, you could if you wanted to. So that explains the Justice League. Now on to the next chapter for the DCEU, and that's starting off with Green Lantern. Why stop the fun there, right? Why don't you make Green Lantern right after Justice League? I mean, it makes sense to me. And then here's what I'm thinking. Now, this is going to have Hal Jordan in the league, so this is kind of like a what if you use Hal Jordan. So Hal Jordan, played by some actor, right, goes back to Oa to get his next assignment because, of course, the Lanterns are cops, right, space cops, basically. And he runs into Jon Stewart, his partner, right, who assigns him the mission with him, John and Hal, to stop Atrocitus, the Red Lantern. That way you don't have to reuse Sinestro because he was taken down in League, right, in the next League movie. So you would use Atrocitus, the Red Lanterns, as the main villains, right? It makes sense. Now, after that, I think we desperately need a female-led movie, and we can't do Wonder Woman 3, so what about Birds of Prey with Harley Quinn? Now, I don't know if I still like this idea. I think it's a weird idea, but Black Canary, Batgirl, Huntress, and Harley Quinn? I mean, why wouldn't you, right? It'd be a pretty freaking good idea. And I think it's just really cool to get Harley Quinn back in there, because obviously, since she's one of the most popular DCEU characters, don't say she's not, because all the Suicide Squad were actually pretty popular, and that's why they won an Oscar for their look and for the innovation that David Ayer, did to modernize them, right? So they're popular, so they're probably going to want to throw Harley Quinn back in as soon as possible, and that could be your kind of break time, right, to throw them back in there. I think it makes sense, right? And we can revisit, Gotham or whatever, right? Now, next is Man of Steel 2. We also desperately need another Superman movie. Why? Because they did a really good job of bringing him up to speed in Justice League, right? When he was brooding and all that in Batman v Superman and everyone complained, and then Joss Whedon, even though I hate him, did a pretty good job with Superman. I mean, that's one thing. He did make him lighter, make him more fun. He loves life and appreciates it after being brought back, right? So I think it really makes sense to give him a sequel right after Birds of Prey and right after Green Lantern and Justice League 2 to lead into Superman, right? It's a good tie-in. You could definitely do like Metallo, Brainiac, although I think Brainiac should be saved for the League of, the League movie, League 3, I guess you could call it, Justice League 3. But we need another Superman movie, right? And then you could finish off Wonder Woman's trilogy with Wonder Woman 3. And I think it should be a modern day story. I mean, I don't think they can keep doing these back in time storylines. Not after 84. I mean, I think that it's a good idea to kind of distance Wonder Woman from the rest of the DCEU for the sequel, right? For the second movie. But for the third movie, if we're going to pull off this chapter, we have to have it take place in the modern day. And what better yet to have Wonder Woman than to introduce Cersei, right? Because we have Cheetah, and the next biggest villain for Wonder Woman is Cersei or Maxwell Lord, but I think Cersei would be a better fit. And then after that, you can finish off this next chapter with Justice League 3, and you got to do Darkseid. I mean, it's a need, right? The biggest, well, arguably the biggest DC villain of all time. You just have to do him, right? I mean, you can't get away from it forever. They try doing that, and they failed, right? So they got to bring him back. I mean, Lex Luthor could show up and say, you've only delayed the inevitable, right? At the end of Justice League, they could have like an end credit scene that says, you only delayed the invasion, he will be back. I can feel it. And then Darkseid comes in way later for Justice League 3. You could change up the roster of the League if you wanted to, but I think it makes sense to keep it the way it is. And it would just be a really good idea to bring him back. And then he could like show a flashback of what happened to Steppenwolf, right? It would just be a good idea. I think that they could really tie that off. But Darkseid is one of the biggest villains in DC, and to not do him is a huge mistake. I mean, it's like one of the biggest mistakes you can make, and I don't think Warner Brothers can afford to make more mistakes, so they gotta do Darkseid. But overall, that's my Chapter 2 and Chapter 3 for the DCEU. I'm excited. If they did this chapter, I'd probably cry myself to sleep every night in tears of joy. I mean, to me, it's like the perfect roster, but I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you agree with my roster, or do you have your own roster that you think would be better? And if you do, comment down below. But again, don't forget to comment, don't forget to like and favorite this video if you want more DCEU chapters like these. And don't forget to subscribe, and as always, I will see you guys for more videos. I have tons of other DCEU videos planned, so you can check out those as soon as they upload. Bye-bye.